Like I'm in the big leagues. Yeah, told him I'ma hit it out of stands. I deserve another 100 bands. I deserve another 100 fans. Told them this was always in the plans. I just did it cause they said I can. Blowing euros when I'm down in France. Labels asking how I build a brand. Told them put a check up in my hands. Boy got time, no cap. Made a few checks, but they all in the raps. Had a few friends, but they suck in the past. I don't even trip when I'm thinking about that. Hopped in the whip and we all in black. Shawty wanna ride till the hop in the back. 0 to 100, seen a rev on the dash. They ain't catching up, dog, I'm moving too fast. In the big leagues. Told her don't miss me. Ballin' like Houston, ayy, feeling like Whitney. I need a bag, bruh, send it through quickly. I'm making his dog, like I'm in a big league.
I'm sorry, everybody. I had muted myself, but good evening, everyone. Welcome to another installment of Color Commentary on TDPHINSTALK. Firstly, I'd like to thank each and every one of you in the audience for allowing me to speak to you tonight. I also want to thank our broadcasting host, TDPHINSTALK, for the work he does bringing you great Miami Dolphins content year-round now. I encourage all of you to like and share this video. It really helps out TD. Helps out me, helps out the whole community, gets everybody the word out as a place to come see Miami Dolphins community. And for more color commentary, head over to my YouTube channel and subscribe to help me provide more content going forward. You can also find me Thursday at 11 p.m. on the Fins Tailgate and most late nights on the Fins Tailgate for more candid commentary on our beloved Miami Dolphins. Parental discretion is advised. It's after 10 p.m. content, ladies and gentlemen. And I'll try to get to as many comments as possible. Again, I thank every one of you. I see Miss Fins. Thank you so much, Miss Fins, for letting me know I was muted. Thank you, TD. I see all of you there. Cap for life. Welcome to the chat tonight. Ronnie in. If I miss anybody, I'll get to you eventually. And hopefully I'll be able to bring a couple people on if time allows. I kind of was just, how you doing, EM? Nice to see you, man. I was kind of, it's obviously that time of the season or off season, I should say, where there's a little lull in the action and everybody kind of was already talking about the same things and whatnot. So it was going to be a little hard for me to come up with something to talk about until I got a nice, beautiful comment from somebody. And first and foremost, I'm going to go through this comment, which turned out to be a little more than your average comment, little less than a book, a little more than a synopsis. But I thought, wow, it's cool. It gives me just something to fill up a few minutes or more tonight on my show. So first, the thing I'm going to say is I'm not going to name who the person is. You can find it in the comment of some video I did on some channel. I'm not going to drag the person because everybody's entitled to their opinion. And some of it I actually agree with, even though I probably wouldn't word it the way it's worded. And as such, it tends to muddy the waters as far as gaining support for somebody you may believe in, and that's okay. But I wanted to go through it, and I first wanted to thank the person for taking the time, and this is absolutely genuine. I don't want anybody to think that I'm trying to excoriate anybody or call anybody out or anything like that. I absolutely appreciate all comments, even the ones that are vitriolic and hateful towards me. Not that this one is, but just to say that, I appreciate it because you allow me to set litmus tests for myself to see where, my level of objectivity, is. So I really do appreciate the time and effort that this person put into this comment. And so I want to go through it, try to get through as much as I can without being, I'm gonna answer everybody's comments or try to answer comments in the chat. But if you allow me to kind of flow through it and I've itemized it a little bit, or I've outlined it a little bit so that I can give my takes here and there, but I also want to get through it, and because it could take a long time to do that if I'm answering everybody in chat, but I'll certainly try to answer any instant retorts. And I welcome the person, if they recognize the comment, to utilize the link that the TD will drop shortly to get some people up on the panel. And if that person wants to come in and talk to me directly, I don't bite, and I suspect you don't either. So let's talk. That being said, I'm going to go ahead and start getting into it. I do have to admire the first statement opens up Culler, and so he's addressing me directly. It wasn't on my channel, but either case, it says, Culler, I don't go on Twitter. I don't even have an account. Now, this statement is completely irrelevant or completely out of the realm of having to do with anything that's about to be said after that statement. But the person wanted me to know that they don't go on Twitter. So I'm assuming that's a rhetorical device used to make me think that they're not coming up with this formulation or this hypothesis or theory, if you want to rise it to that level, based on any kind of perceived notions that may be drummed up on Twitter. So, okay, that's accepted. But that's I admire the I think Socrates would be proud with that. Either case, so it goes on to say, our new head coach not only had a FaceTime call with our current QB1, encouraging him, he is looking forward to teaching and coaching him. Basically, without even saying his name, parentheses, Watson, end parenthesis, during his press conference, he pretty much confirmed again that he is rolling with Tua. The O-line is terrible. I believe, and the aficionados believe, that they will in fact go after a couple free agent linemen to help fix this team. Maybe even draft one. And the next statement is, all players need to be coached up, whether they are veterans or rookies. And I'll pause right there for a second and answer that. No, they don't. They absolutely do not. And what I mean by that is, I agree with the premise of your statement. All players need to be coached up, whether they are veterans or rookies. Okay. I do agree with that, the premise of that statement. Everybody can use coaching. I still could use coaching. I mean, without dating myself too much, I'm always learning still too. And that's what allows you to go down the slope of the Dunning-Kruger effect. Okay. So that being said, earlier, I think it was interesting because this is something I come across a lot when I'm either debating people or discussing with people the nature of our quarterback situation. I found it interesting that the person needed to make me sure I knew that our current QB1 is Tua. Okay, fine. But that's another rhetorical device that gets used a lot. Okay, when debating this issue, which really is irrelevant. However, I'll continue. And another thing too is, if anybody in chat can tell me who these aficionados are, because everybody has aficionados. All I can say is that I'm about to turn 45 years old. I've been watching the Miami Dolphins since where I knew what I was looking at, basically, as a kid, even as a kid, since 1986. And I'm just saying that while I'm not an expert, I did play football in high school. So I know what it is like to be on the field and have to, take in everything that you'd have to take in to be a decent player because the game is 90% mental, which is something we were preached to by our coaches, incidentally. So I'm going to put that aside because the belief in the aficionados' belief that we'll go in fact go for a couple free agents. The point about the offensive lineman is it's one thing to say that all players can still use to be coached up, whether they're veterans or rookies. You could agree with that premise, like I do, but you could also say the compounding and preponderance of the number of specialists for the offensive line and running game, I think, is, if you're talking about bringing in veteran free agents, more than one or two to pepper in, obviously for depth, but that's a given. So I still stand on my statements in the past, which I think is what you might be addressing, that we intend fully, if we have to save as much money as we can. And if that means one veteran free agent to help the coaches be a link on the field, and maybe draft or however we come about other depth, it seems to me that we're going to attempt to do, Mike McDaniel is going to attempt to do what he claims he is going to attempt to do with Tua, which is roll with what we got. So I'll put that aside. The person continues, the staff that is in place has the look of a run-heavy offense. This would be an adjustment to almost any player, vet or rookie. This scheme isn't taught or coached anywhere. And that's just absolutely not true. It's just absolutely not true. There is nothing new in the NFL. There's only so many ways you can place 11 players on the field, given the geometry involved of an NFL football field. And I would also put forward that the scheme is actually taught in a lot of places, mainly high school and college. I mean, yeah, it's fundamentals. And this is another thing I want to point out about these videos that we see about Mike McDaniel FaceTiming Tua or whatever he has to say about his vision and all that, which I don't necessarily disagree with. But this is the part. I'm setting this up for later in this letter, which I like to call it because it's more than just a comment on a video. But the vision is run heavy, whatever. That's all fine. But to say that it's not, to say that it's new and innovative, when I see these videos that have been shared about Mike McDaniel, where he's coaching up a room, supposedly, and I see him talking to a room of what I assume to be young quarterbacks, that maybe I'm being a little presumptuous, but they have the look of guys that have been playing quarterback for a little while in their life. And he's telling them things like the importance of play action and how to look off, defenses and all that. And we're supposed to take that as some impressing well, it's cool that he can address a room full of grown men, but that would be the only thing I could take from it, because to me, I actually termed it the football. This is a football speech. And I'm thinking, well, okay, fine. So I'm not one of these people that, first of all, that buys into video that's released from the Miami Dolphins organization. And there's a good reason for that, which we'll get to even deeper in a minute. So right out of the nowhere, the person shifts to a completely different subject and continues by saying, to say they are still going after Watson is ridiculous. The new coaching staff alone says, without saying it, that they are not pursuing Watson. They are not looking to dump salary cap and capital into one player. The free agents are coming, and they probably will have to overpay for some, including re-signing the current players on our roster. That's where the money is going to go. Well, that's fun. That's really fun. I mean, if you're into that, I want to win Super Bowls. Now, first of all, it's not ridiculous to say that they would be going after Watson. And there's a myriad of different reasons why. As the reports about Watson's interest in other teams continue to come out and continue to get refuted by the very people that wrote them in the first place over and over and over again. But I guess you wouldn't know that because you couldn't be getting that information about going after Watson from Twitter since you don't go on Twitter. So maybe Facebook, I don't know. Maybe you're reading that in the local newspaper. I don't know where else you'd be getting that from, but that's okay. I'll take your word for it. The new coaching staff says without saying it. So here's a place where I'm like, why is it okay for somebody to say they're saying something without saying it, but when we make the same assumptions for some other reason that, we can't read too deeply into those types of things? Well, first of all, this is where I get to the point about a principle we all know about least assumptions. And everything I say when I go live, it's not to say I don't make assumptions, especially late at night. You guys can catch that on the Fins tailgate late at night, usually after 10 o'clock. Chris Adams does a great job over there. And if you check out my latest video I uploaded this afternoon, you'll see why. Either case, it just occurred to me that, I just make as little assumptions as possible. And I can tell you that statement alone, the new coaching staff says it alone without saying it, is a huge assumption. And looking to dump salary cap into one player, you may be right about all what you're saying. But all we're saying is that continues to give reason more for Ross to be pushed out of ownership for this team, because I am absolutely tired of being sold a bill of goods and being lied to. Because what that suggests is we dump every bit of money into trying to make as perfect a situation as we can around our quarterback. And if that happens to work, okay, great. But the thing of it is that no team, this is the part where I have said recently that, I don't understand why people can't get that. If you can't go and get a big time, big money quarterback when you're going into the next season with the largest salary cap, when can you do it? There's another, and I stress that heavily because these teams that have done it, that we watch play every year in the playoffs, those teams that have done that, they've already recovered from having done that, mainly because it didn't take them as much to recover because of the level of play at their quarterback position. And I'll get to that, back to that in a second, because it's leading to the same place. And the letter continues, it was a thing with Flo when he was here, but he's not here anymore, and Fuller will be gone too. I don't know what that statement has anything to do with anything. But again, other than if you really feel the need to continue to point out the disparities of the last person that was our coach in order to make the current coach some kind of how better or whatever, then that just means nothing to me. That doesn't even compute to me, because it doesn't make Tua better. It doesn't make Mike McDaniel right or wrong until the snap of the ball in game one. Now, I'm willing to be objective and say, yeah, a big-time running game helps. I'm not disputing that. Okay, what I'm saying is half of our salary cap to get a quarterback that's worth half of our salary cap, because, see, I don't even have to bring, and this is the part about assumptions, I don't even have to bring in Watson in this discussion. All I have to do is say a quarterback that's worth half of our salary cap. If we bring a guy like that in, then all of what you're talking about spending money on goes down almost exponentially, because you have a myriad of factors that will help that play out. The fact that you don't have to do certain things in certain positions because talented quarterback play can overcome that. Now, you obviously have to protect that. And I'm not, I'm not imagining we have the greatest offensive line in the world. But the point I'm trying to make is you spend half that salary cap, and now you have, how many players do you have to really pepper in? A couple offensive linemen, maybe a big running back, because Duke Johnson, let's be honest, as much as we love him, probably only has like 1 year left in the tank, and we can extend that to 2 years if we just use him, here and there when he's needed, when we're, salting away games, whatever. Third down back, whatever you want to call it, because he still runs hard. But at that point, all you need is better than 204 yards a game from your quarterback, and better than 16 touchdowns a year from your quarterback. That's all you need. And you're there. It's not even about Deshaun Watson. It's never been about Deshaun Watson. The only reason we're allowed to talk about Deshaun Watson is because he's so good that even half the people that are on board with going with Tua still have openly admitted that they're perfectly fine bringing Watson in. The letter continues. It is my experience and belief that Tua hasn't even been properly evaluated. He was set up to fail since day one. And there is absolutely zero evidence whatsoever to support that assumption. At least when I make the assumption that it's the other way around, I have evidence to support that. I'm not going to get back in and relitigate all of the politics involved with the Flores firing. I'm not going to do that anymore. But if you truly do believe that Tua was set up to fail since day one, then I don't even know what to tell a person like that. Because a person like that has no idea what fundamentally football has always traditionally been about. Now, that's fine if you're a younger person and more of an idealist and want to throw that tradition out the window, that's fine. But that's what football taught me. I don't know what it taught you. That's why I like watching football. And as far as the first statement, that Tua hasn't been properly evaluated, I would say that the entire rest of the team hasn't been properly evaluated because there is a deficiency at quarterback. Because through all of this, what's getting missed is that the one thing we haven't done in 25 years, in other words, what would be the opposite of what we've done in the last 25 years, is to go all out on a quarterback and make sure that we got it. And I don't see anybody crying for the quarterback that Arizona did the same thing to, because they recognized right away too. And obviously their eye test was confirmed in Miami because we only gave the guy 8 games behind a tanked team, which everybody is, remember, okay, here we go. He was set up to fail since day one. So are you saying that Greer set up Flores with the first team, first year he was here, to make sure we tanked to get Tua? And when Flores wouldn't play ball, he won 5 games, and that ruined the whole thing about getting Burrow. But we were never saying tank for Burrow, but somehow that means that now Flores sabotaged Tua in year 2 of his regime, because year 1 we were outright tanking, and everybody tells me that they knew it and everybody knew it. But for some reason, we don't give the deference to Josh Rosen behind that football team. We give him 8 games. And I'm not disagreeing with the person's eye test that kicked him out of the building. I guess that remains to be seen in Atlanta. I'm just pointing out that we saw the same thing Arizona did, apparently. Now, you can throw out numbers all you want, statistics, whatever you want to throw out. But for somebody telling me that we've got to give Tua another year because whatever reason hasn't had a chance to fully recover from his hip injury, hip rotation, more core power. I've heard them all. I've heard every reason. But see, all those reasons are given to me to say why Tua has a deficiency. So while admitting that Tua has a deficiency, you're allowing him the deference of more than 23 ball games now with guys like me's eye test, as compared to Josh Rosen, who got 8 games behind an arguably worse team. So it just doesn't make sense. It's a complete circular argument. Does Tua have those deficiencies or not? Well, maybe. Can he overcome them? Well, maybe. Can McDaniel do something to get him in position to be better? Probably. Do I believe that Tua will take that and grab it? There is absolutely no evidence so far that has allowed me to make that assumption. Not one. Other than innuendo and whatever else. I want to finish the letter because I don't want to get into this last point that I'm going to drive home at the end about the sabotage of Tua by Flores, which is now, if you guys have noticed, has been refuted by Flores himself in an interview that'll be dropping Monday by Omar Kelly. I mean, if you want to disregard what Flores says or call him a liar or whatever, that's your prerogative, but you're not going to tell me. And actually you can, because I do enjoy the comment. I do appreciate the comment on my video. Okay. But in principle, you're not going to presume to tell me that we've seen anything other than what Flores shows us in that video since he's been a coach, since he was the coach of our team. And so for me, when I look at who was supporting who, or who was not buying into who, my first thought isn't Flores, because Flores has never shown me anything, whether it's PR, fake, you can call it whatever you want, but he's never shown me anything but what he continues to espouse. Whether a person likes what he's espousing or not is a different discussion. But when the man's saying it himself throughout the last, 3 years at the podium, which maybe nobody really cared the way he delivered it, and then he says today that, or coming soon, that as far as the clip shows, that him and Tua had a great relationship and they were fully supportive of each other. Now, this is where Hanlon's razor comes in. And for anybody in the audience that isn't aware of the principle of Hanlon's razor, it is, we shouldn't ascribe malice to that which can be explained by incompetence. Now, you could argue with me that the support that Flores was providing to Tua was incompetent and didn't benefit him. You can make that argument. But to presume such a negative, dare I say, evil attitude and project that onto somebody like Brian Flores is just absolutely appalling to me. And I'm really tired of hearing it. I don't think it's a small matter that the man went home to his son that wore his jersey every night. I don't think that's a small matter. And it feeds right into why Flores would claim that he held on to the information for 3 years instead of blowing the whistle right away. Because as an honorable man who had integrity, he had a duty to what they were about to try to accomplish, and he had already stepped his foot in it. So stop with that nonsense. Because if he overcomes that and we go to the playoffs this past season, none of you are talking about any of that. Nobody's talking about any of that. I can get into all day why I believe Mike McDaniel is actually our head coach, with conspiracy theory and hypotheses all day long if you really wanted me to do that. But I'm not the one doing that here. I'm just basically going on the image that Flores himself has projected to me consistently for 3 years. And I'm expected to believe that the man's true nature is exactly the opposite of that because somebody's sauce is in the building. Sorry. It's not happening. And I think it's refreshing to realize that. And the sooner that realization happens, it'll be refreshing for everybody involved. And we can move on to say, if we don't get a quarterback like Watson, what do we honestly have to do? Or what could we reasonably expect long-term from what we got if we dump all our money into the whole team? Because there's a report lately that talks about, restructuring Byron. And if that happens, we can gain another $8 million. They're already working things. When else can somebody dump half their salary cap with more to come with a team like we got on a quarterback like Deshaun Watson? And quit denying I said that word just now, like. Because I could just speak about stats if you want me to. I could lose the name and just talk about the production that's brought to the table with the team we already have. And if anybody denies that the team we have right now wouldn't be deeper in the playoffs last year than we were with a guy like Deshaun Watson, then I'm just finished having that argument, and we'll see what happens whether we get him or not, or anybody like him. So the letter continues. I'm not a Tua lover nor a Watson hater. He deserves a chance to have a competent coaching staff, an average or slightly, this is Tua he's speaking about, has a chance to have a competent coaching staff, an average or slightly above average O-line, a running game, and a healthy, reliable wide receiver. And see, my whole point to that is that he could have shown things with his own talent and his own skill. Even if we would have lost more ball games, Tua could have shown us stuff with his own talent to prove that it's worth doing all that. That's what I mean by earn the build. We've done this 5 different times over the last 25 years. For anybody to think that in the position where we are with our salary cap that we can't afford to get a big name quarterback and still recover another team after 2 or 3 years with gas left in the tank of that quarterback, you're just fooling yourselves. And to say, and there's the letter continues, to say he has been given that the past 2 seasons is ridiculous. He didn't have the support of Flores. He has received more support from his new head coach within the past 12 days or so than he did in 2 years with Flores. Why? Because they showed us that he said kind words to the guy? Is that really what you base that on? I say kind words about Tua all the time. But I don't think anybody in this audience right now is confused at all as to where I stand on what I think about the skill level of one Tua Tagovailoa. Just keep that in mind. So the letter continues. No doubt Watson is talented. It's almost finished, guys. No doubt Watson is talented, but to have this guy as a face of your franchise, no matter the outcome of innocent or guilty, is questionable. The accusations are quite concerning. It's not just 1 or 2 women looking for a payday. It's 22 civil complaints and 10 criminal complaints. I believe 18 of them are wanted to settle, but there are 4 who don't want to settle. They are still investigating. It's far from over, and there's a chance he can be charged. There's also a chance of it dragging on during this offseason, and depending on the outcome, can face suspension from the league. There's too much baggage, and with the Ross situation going on, it's just plainly not a good look. Sounds like you're a never tanker like myself. Sounds like you don't agree with Ross and you think he's this lying snake who attempted to cheat. So that's fine. Okay. So you just can't say both. Remember that. Besides that fact, I would only answer to that by saying, well, that's a good thing we got Tua. Because that gives Tua a chance, another one, to prove me right. But you still get the guy in the building. I don't care if Watson goes to jail for 2 or 3 years. This is a point TD made early on when we were about to work a deal with Watson before the trade deadline. You get the guy in the building. You just do. They have gyms in jail. He's not going to be in solitary confinement where he can't work out and go out in the yard and toss a football around. I mean, get real. You know, and if that gives Tua a chance to prove me wrong, or let's say it gives Tua a chance because of our I give him credit, our outstanding coaching staff that's just been amassed by Mike McDaniel. I'm going to give credit where it's due, which I guess I have to because he's the head coach. But I mean, all he's doing is following Twitter and listening to you all guys as to who we want on our staff, because it's kind of funny that It's like out of the ether, everybody was talking yesterday. Well, what if they went ahead and brought in Surtain too to help out Madison? And lo and behold, so I'm sitting on the throne. Apologies for being graphic, ladies and gentlemen, but I'm sitting on the throne earlier, and I'm reading my magazine, which is my cell phone now. And ring-a-ding-ding, there's Miss Finns. Oh my gosh, there's a notification. She's posted a video. Boom, we just hired Patrick Surtain. Are you kidding me? I mean, I'm fine with it. The more the merrier, you know. Definitely. I mean, as we have pointed out, Sam Madison isn't necessarily just a fanfare hire. He does have the goods to back it up too with what he did in Kansas City. So, you know, great. Yeah, sure. You know, I ain't got nothing to say about all that. So I'm pretty sure, given the things I've heard in the background, I'll say, without citing sauces, that there's certain things that, you know, yeah, we could possibly see a little more core power next year. You know, I joke around about the golf thing a lot, but actually I don't. People just think I have. The golf thing actually didn't bother me too much because the golf thing allows him to, you know, start to gain back that real flexibility that he's lacking in his hips. I mean, I can go through the all 22 and show you perfect examples of what I'm talking about. Those things can actually be overcome still, even now. Now there's a lot of psychology involved that's also at play here, but all I'm trying to say is the ceiling that we always talk about. I'm not necessarily, I have not been convinced that it's good enough to be consistently what I like to call Super Bowl contenders. So that's just an opinion. You know, but you get the guy in the building because let's say there is a long delay of maybe even 2 seasons of getting Watson on the field. Again, I'm not necessarily at that point. You're telling me, Culler, you got another year or two of, you know, let's give it to a little credit. You get to the playoffs and you contend a little bit, and you might have a chance. You might even get to a bowl and lose or whatever. But if I got to do 2 more years of that, knowing that the cure is already there if it doesn't work out, as opposed to having to, as this person suggests, getting another quarterback in the draft. So the letter continues because this is where the point I'm getting to. No doubt Watson is talented, but to have this guy as a face of your franchise, no matter the outcome of innocent or guilty, is questionable. The accusations are quite concerning. It's not just 1 or 2 women looking for, I'm not going to get, okay. I already read all that. I'm sorry. If Tua doesn't work out this year, so be it. Then we will know and we'll have the picks in 2023 to get a QB. Until then, let's support our current QB1, support the new coaching staff, and stop with the pipe dreams because really Watson isn't coming here. And I mean, what picks? Because the person just got through stating that Ross, there's too much baggage going on with Ross, which that very baggage could cause us to lose those 2023 picks. Besides the fact that how many times has we been able to draft if Tua doesn't work out? That'll be the second one in 10 years. And a lot of us just aren't willing to make that investment with our energy and our time and our money for tickets and parking and $12 souvenir cups. and all those things that come along with supporting your football team. You know, it's about Super Bowls. That is the only prize in the NFL. I would rather have a guy that just learned a lesson, paid his penance, even if he, supposing he had to go to jail, comes out, and lo and behold, we found out two have failed, and we're already got a guy on contract that's ready to cure that problem. I just don't see why anybody sees how that's any different, because if it doesn't happen, and this is the prediction I've made from the beginning, despite where everybody thinks he might go besides Miami, if it doesn't happen, we're going to look at Deshaun Watson as a Dallas Cowboy, and the NFL will be holding parades for Jerry Jones for giving another player a second chance. And that's just the reality. That's the type of thing, those are the types of things this old timer has seen over the past 25 years happen. And so the alternative to that is Tua proves me wrong because of the time involved in getting Watson on the field. And Watson has to come out and prove me right on him. That's not a bad situation to be in. Even if I might make a prediction early on that Watson would win that battle in a training camp, that's beside the point. I'd much rather see that than that's good problems to have, as they used to call it. So the notion that I wouldn't support our current QB1 because of my heavy criticism of him, when I've been fair to point out the spots that if he were to improve, that I think would make him, better at least, and, serviceable in an environment where I believe McDaniel's kind of trying to emulate a 1972 situation, which is fine with me. I mean, that's doing what I keep calling for. And everybody that knows me has heard it 1,000 times. It's hot in Miami. Use that to your advantage, because the way you use that to your advantage also plays good in the cold weather up north in the late in the season. This is how Miami went undefeated. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to pause to say thank you absolutely so much, Ice Cold and Kane 81. Oh, wait, Ice Cold Kane 81 D. So I think you're a Canes fan too. Appreciate that, because I am too. Go Canes. They're all, they produce champions. But thank you so much. That person says, what if we stick with Tua and sucks again, and we go to trade for a top QB in the draft next year, and all the teams in the top 5 tell us to kick rocks like the Bengals did, then what? And I wholeheartedly agree. That's the point I'm trying to make. That's the absolute point I'm trying to make. You get the guy in the building. It'll cost. At all costs. Because to be honest with you guys, if we take half our salary cap and get a guy like Watson in the building, and you don't think the other half, plus what's coming behind it, and restructuring and all these other things we can do to keep building for Tua, if you don't think that's if you don't think that's not enough money to build sufficiently to evaluate Tua, then you're not being fair to Tua. That's not fair to Tua. Because on the same token, the people that say that we should just build around Tua are the same people that believe in Tua to be elite. Maybe not all of them, But some of those people at least think above average or average. I mean, I guess we could go on TD's scale. Thanks to TD for that. That was good stuff, man. But it maybe, you know, there's people that say just build around Tua and then he'll be this level. And there's just no evidence so far to support that. So that's the only reason I say get the guy in the building. If Tua proves me wrong, as I always say, and I know y'all are going to think I'm still plugging for a grocery store, but that we all know about. But jerk seasoning makes crow taste just as good as it does chicken. Just saying. And I ain't got no problem being right or being wrong from the place of education and the place of the least assumptions. You know, you just get the guy in the building. There's no reason not to. This is the only time. Every one of these teams that we see that finally got their guy in the building were in far worse salary cap positions, far worse personnel positions than we. We're 9-8 / 10-6 for the last 2 years. And that's the team. That team. Gosh, I'm drawing a blank, and I know the chat will be grateful enough to help me out, or will be kind enough to help me out. Who said it? Your record, you are what your record says you are. Why does that never apply when things went south for a team that's just above 500? If we're going to be fair and not count the first season. Roman, it was Roman said what? And I said it was the saying that you are what your record says you are. You know, and that's such a true statement. Because we are a 9-8 football team. We are an above 500 football team right now, regardless of what we did the first season. Regardless if you factor overall 3 seasons because you want to disparage Flores and say he's not a winning coach here. The fact of it is, as my buddy El Capitan pointed out last night, Flores actually has the highest winning percentage in Miami since Dave Wanstead. And I'll just drop that nugget for you to chomp on for a little while and move on. That all being said, you know, just get the guy in the building. We can rebuild what we don't have from it. And if Tua is not good enough to handle half of $80 million to build around him, and that's not good enough to get our team to a level that could win without a quarterback like we did in 2008. Credit Ronnie Brown, Ricky Williams, and Coach Tony Sperano. Running not too dissimilar in offense, that this scheme that's not taught or coached anywhere, the author of this comment claims. Not too dissimilar. So that's kind of interesting too. But well, I'll finish out the letter here. It's not too much longer. It's time, and this is the part that is what triggered me. Yes, I'll say triggered. This is the part that triggered me to bring it to the show tonight. Okay. And it says, it's time to stop that narrative. I can't wait until he signs elsewhere so all this goes away. Speaking of Watson, if he is given the opportunity to play again, you will see Watson in another team jersey, just not a Miami Dolphins one. I encourage you to listen to his FaceTime call, Mike McDaniel, I'm assuming, with Tua, and listen to introductory press conference once again. Maybe listen to it 10 times. This coaching staff is going to be special. And that ends the comment. And I just want to say that just does not help Tua any favors. It doesn't give him any favors. It doesn't endear me to Tua to say something like that, to conclude a comment like that. I appreciate the comment, but it does nothing to endear Tua to me. So I noticed earlier, and this is the whole thing that I'll conclude with about Tua and about Flores not supporting him and sabotaging him and all that, is that there is a real possibility that if everybody is right and Tua shows us an elite level of play next year right out of the gate, it might be fair to say, as one of our all mutual friends, Drubitron, pointed out last night, that it may be the other way around, that somebody else might have been involved in making sure Flores was fireable. I'll kind of leave it at that, but I noticed the gentleman was in the chat earlier, Drubitron, and I wouldn't mind dropping a link and giving him a chance real quick to specify what I'm talking about, if he's still there. Because him and I, we don't agree on Tua, and so the reason I point him out and his theory on all that is because he's a person that doesn't feel the way I do about Tua, yet is still willing to hear me out and give me a fair opportunity to voice my opinion and take it. And he's shown he can take things I've said into consideration, and he's proven that. So, but we still disagree on a lot about Tua. You can see him pointing out stats about Tua earlier in the chat. But we got a really short, I'm only supposed to go an hour. We might have started a little past 7:30. So I'm gonna ask TD if it's all right with him to bring at least a couple people on that may want to yell at me for a second. If you don't want to, I know you're tired, buddy, so we can save that for another night. I highly encourage Drubitron, if he wants to come up at the very least to voice himself, because I don't like to speak for people. But I thought his take on who was sabotaging who was actually quite brilliant, considering his position on Tua. This guy, CB says, this guy is marinating the jerk Tua. Okay. The jerk seasoning, right? Or jerk tuna. How you doing, Drubitron? I appreciate you came in, man.
What's going on? I just got home, so I made it right on time.
So just to give the audience a little preface, it is your contention that somebody else on the team, possibly somebody else in the defensive staff, and maybe even possibly in the offensive staff or even locker room, dare I say, that part I kind of might have added on. But before I let you answer, thank you so much, Pete. You're so awesome, man, for the super sticker. That's really awesome. You're one of my, we've probably had a wedge driven between us on our takes the last few weeks, but man, I love you, and I'll yell at you or celebrate with you both ways all the time, Pete. I love you, man. So I really appreciate that. Shout out to Pete's Takes. Everybody go to his channel whenever they got a second and throw him a subscribe. He throws out some neat little videos every now and then, and he's a great guy. So I appreciate that, Pete. But go ahead, Drubitron. Go ahead and speak for yourself on this matter before I start putting words into your mouth.
I appreciate it. I'm coming out clear and okay? It seems like it's...
Yeah, you sound great.
All right, cool. Yeah, so, we've talked about this. I've talked about this on a couple different shows. We talk about this on Clock Blockers in the morning. We talk about this on the Fin side. So it's, and I've mentioned it once here before with TD, I think briefly, very briefly, but I kind of, when we first got the news that Flores was getting let go, there was a lot of discussion and debate about, why, aside from maybe the reasons of getting along with people, whatever. And I thought, well, why was our offense so bad? Was Flores maybe throwing, and was he kind of sabotaging our offense? And then when the news broke about Flores, about his lawsuit and what he was alleging with Stephen Ross, the gears started kind of turning in my head, and things started kind of connecting the dots. So basically, my thought was it was not Flores who was sabotaging our offense, but somebody was. And I think somebody was also sabotaging our defense. Because
so let's start with the defense.
Sure, let's start there.
And by the way, welcome on, Jerry. J-Man, I appreciate you coming up. We'll give you a chance to speak here in just a second. So go ahead and elaborate on the defensive side of the ball, if you would.
So this is all conspiracy. I have no proof of this. I want to come out and say that, ahead of time, because I know there's, I usually get trashed a little bit because everybody.
Sure. But as I said, real quick. But as I said earlier, reading the letter that I received, that there's no shortage of people on the other side of the fence, dwindling in some conspiracy. So go ahead with it then.
So if we believe that Ross offered Flores money, I don't think it's so crazy to believe that Ross may have decided to offer others money to do what Flores would not. And I believe he potentially offered money to our defensive coordinator, Boyer. I believe this because, again, who was calling our defense the year before last? Boyer. Boyer was the defensive coordinator, and our defense looked elite. There's no other word for it. We were an elite defense. But for some reason, when we came out this year, our defense looked nothing like it did before. We were terrible. We were one of the worst defenses in the league. But all of a sudden, around the Ravens game, they seemed to kind of like the light switch came on, and we were back to playing that same type of defense. And there was always speculation, oh, well, maybe Flores is calling the plays now. Maybe, Boyer doesn't have it. What's up,
so
Pete?
now someone might, well, real quick, Pete. So someone might say, thanks for coming up, Pete. Appreciate it. And so someone might say, well, why, the proposition to Flores happened in the beginning of his first year, and this proposition to Boyer would have happened, at the beginning of this year, or when it didn't work out, let's say. But remember that there was no reason to be tanking this year. So what you would be actually implying there is that the offer to Boyer to kind of throw somebody under the bus was not necessarily for the reasons of tanking at that point, but to get somebody out of the building.
To get one very specific person who, on 2 occasions the year prior, if we believe what he says, didn't tank and didn't
and wasn't willing to do what it took,
and wasn't willing to meet with an unspecified quarterback on a yacht.
Right. Now, one quick other question. Do you believe that it's a
quick thing, Culler?
Go ahead, Pete. I'll go ahead. Yeah, I'll go ahead, Pete. I'm sorry. I
just want to. My apology. I might be on a delay. That's why I might have to.
No. Go ahead, buddy.
Now. But Drew Bertrand, isn't it weird, right? The Tua haters. Listen to me, Drew Bertrand. The Tua haters. What did you say happened the first 7 weeks of the season? The defense was what?
Dookie.
It was Dookie. It was the little emoji. So tell me, who was the quarterback for the majority of that time?
Brisket.
It was Jacoby Brissett. And then our defense turns it up when we get our franchise quarterback Tua in? You think that doesn't have nothing to play? You guys got to stop hating on Tua. He has something to turn up with that defense. Remember, he gives those guys rest. He
Right,
gives a
right.
long 13 play drives.
Yeah.
Come on, let's get it. But y'all keep that
So
defense
and
flow
Josh Rosen,
talking. Like,
right.
I just
So what
wanted
I
to
was
bring
gonna,
that
so what
point.
I was, so what I
Tua's
was
the
gonna,
guy, right?
right. So what I
Go
was
ahead.
gonna ask Drubitron was, do you think it's fair to say that some of the people we've seen get fired? Do you think it's fair to say that some of those people were people that were not willing to go along with the plan,
Yeah,
quote unquote?
And again, there's more kind of connections here, particularly more so on the defensive side than the offensive side, right? There's only one dot I can connect on the offensive side.
And what dot is that, if you will?
But on the defensive side, well, there's a couple dots, right? First of all, when we started playing well on defense was around the Ravens game, which was November 11th, I believe. And then we got reports later on in the year that Flores stopped talking to his coaches around Thanksgiving. So that would be around the end of November. That kind of coincides with the time frame that we started playing better on defense. And we also heard that we could see Gerald Alexander was now also in the booth with Boyer. So my thought is that Flores, around Thanksgiving, around the Ravens game, finally caught wind that Boyer was maybe throwing games in the sense that maybe not putting players in the right position, right? I don't think there's necessarily players directly involved that were told, hey, don't tackle, don't do this.
Doing things like causing TD to say, what the heck are you running zone for all game long? Right,
So
right.
maybe not calling the best plays at the right time or here or there. But again, around Thanksgiving, that's when Flores stopped talking to his coaches. That's when we started getting better on defense. And that's also when Gerald Alexander went up in the booth. And who are the two guys that are gone from that defense? And in general, Flores is gone, Gerald Alexander is gone, and who is still in Miami? Everybody else.
Right. So real quickly, I want to
True.
Does Jerry, man, do you have anything to say about that quickly?
Oh no, I had something else, but you guys can continue the conversation. I can speak.
Okay, sure. I just want to make sure I wasn't leaving you out. And real quick, Pete. One other thing, Drubitron, and try to be quick because again, we kind of dragged out the letter a little long tonight. Quick. Okay, then go ahead, Pete. I wanted to give you a longer floor, but go ahead.
No, Drubitron, to your point, right, on that last assessment that you just finished saying, we got to stop hating on Noah Igbenogany as well, right? This guy has to be better than Nick Needham in the slot. So that means we were putting not players in the best position to win. You're going to sit here and tell me Noah Igbenogany isn't that guy? When did he lose it? When?
He's never
this tank show is starting to come out and is starting to really bring up a light. There's no way you're going to sit here and convince me that Nick Needham can cover better than Noah Igbenogany. That's just my opinion. And anybody sitting here telling me that he didn't do the slot, Noah actually did do the slot if you see it on film, and he did play and travel with some guys in the slot, and he did fairly well out of the slot. So there's no one here that can tell me that Noah Igbenogany can't play the slot.
Roger that.
You hear my point, Drubitron?
Yep. Yeah. So real quick, Drubitron, everybody like and share this video. Make sure you subscribe to TDPHINSTALK and do me a favor and go over to Color Commentary as well and subscribe there. And for more of this great talk like this. This is sort of the conversations we have a little bit late night on Finn's Tailgate after 10 o'clock. Add some abrasive language, maybe. A little parental discretion is advised, but this is kind of what you can expect. Appreciate everybody being here tonight. And hey, Cap,
TD, I'm trolling. Trolling.
Yeah, yeah. He said earlier. Yeah, TD said earlier. Yeah, Pete. TD said earlier that you're totally bipolar. Yeah, maybe a sprinkle of schizophrenia. How do you like that?
That one had me laughing, but I can't be banned. Hey, Cap, come on now.
So, Cap for life.
Everybody else has me banned.
Welcome, buddy. Appreciate you coming up here too, man. So what do you think about TD's hypothesis that Pete is suffering from a mild dose of schizophrenia?
Oh yeah, no doubt. Of course, this is the time of the year where it's all of us start to develop that. But yeah, man, not to change the topic, man, but I see Mick
No,
Drip,
go ahead.
you know, it's I don't want to say this guy's trying to win me over, but we got a fullback, gentlemen. We got a fullback.
Yeah, who's that? Did a new report out while we've been talking here tonight?
Yeah, so far I think he's picked up a practice squad receiver yesterday. He picked up a fullback today. I mean, the coaching staff reunion with Pat and Sam. I mean, I don't know if this guy's doing it to you know, just to win the hearts over of the fans, but I don't know, man. What do you guys think,
Well,
man?
Cap,
do you think it's overkill?
the thing that, yeah, a little bit of it is probably a little, but at the same time, there's two important factors for me that actually, you know, where McDaniel maybe is kind of proving that he does think a little further outside the box than the average coach, where he can pick these people that, like Sam Madison, who actually do have the goods to back up the fanfare. You know what I mean? But also Wes Welker. Now, I didn't want to. I was on board with TD at first about, hey, let's pump the brakes about players and assuming that they're going to be good coaches as well. And that's usually how I like to lean. But then I thought over a few more days with Wes Welker, and it kind of became apparent to me that, you know, the one problem that I've seen, and this is one of those things that has stemmed for 25 years, like a lot of other things, is that, you know, our receivers just don't have that ability and that gift to sit down in the zone or get to the open spots of the field. You know, maybe partly that I know they are. I mean, we watch the all 22 and we point out places where Tua misses those spots and doesn't see them, but it's not really like Wes Welker style. And when I thought of it like that, that's when I realized, oh, okay, maybe that's not so bad a hire for our wide receiver room. You know what I mean? Because it's one of the deficiencies that we have, you know.
The thing that intrigued me the most about the Wes Welker hire, and I really do like it, I got to be honest with you, Culler, the guy played quarterback in high school, and he also played it a little in college.
Right.
You have to know every ins and outs of the game when you're at the most physical, I mean, not the most physical, the most prominent position in the league. So,
and let's not forget that one of the things that made Brady so great over 20 years was his devotion and his attention to detail. And so what I mean by that is Brady would pour over hours of film, and he would find these spots and say, okay, well, this play is designed to do this, and the hot guy is designed to do this, and everybody's designed to do this, that, and the other, and whatever. And then he compares that to what actually plays out in real time every Sunday. And he sees these spots. Well, if I'm watching film like I do, then so is the defense, and so is everybody else. So everybody's going to be anticipating. It's like a back and forth chess game, right? And what made Brady so great was he could get together with a receiver like Wes Welker and be like, look, just pinch your foot off a little bit this way on this next play. Like as the game's going along, he can see what defenders are doing and tell guys like Wes Welker, you know, if you just 2 inches this way right this time. And boom, it's a wide open spot in the field. And everybody's like, how did Wes Welker get open again? Or Cooper Kupp, same thing. You know what I mean? So if Wes Welker brings that to the table for Tua, I can also see a little bit of improvement there. If Tua is willing to sponge it. I mean, this is really all counting on my lack of belief that Tua can sponge all this in. You know what I mean? So if, again, has nothing to do with Watson.
He just came out of the league. He was just in that locker room recently. You know what I mean? So he knows already in today's NFL. So that's another thing that I do like about the Wes Welker hire here, Culler.
Right on. So again, I know we're about 15 minutes past right now. We're moving on an hour and 15 minutes, and I know TD's really tired tonight. So I do appreciate everybody coming. I want to get final thoughts from everybody. If you have anything to say about what I said about this person's comment, or any of that, just, Hey, I'm right here. You know, I even invite the person that wrote it because it's a person we probably all have seen in chat here and there. You know what I mean? I just don't like calling people out directly because I absolutely appreciate the comment. And I don't want people to think that I'm just going to call you out if you comment on my video. You know what I mean? But what it did for me is it itemized everything that we've heard from, you know, in the argument for like the last year, all summed up into one long comment. So it gave me a chance to go one by one and say my piece on everything. And I appreciate everybody in the in TD's audience and you know that showed up tonight to listen to that and stuck with me. And I appreciate everybody that came on to give me their comments as well as in the chat. If I hope I didn't miss anybody's comments that were too important, but what do you guys got to say? I'll start. I know Jerry hasn't said much. Do you have anything you want to add? I know you said you came up to talk about something else. We still got a smidgen of time.
No, I can just do the close, like you said, like just closing thoughts.
Sure. Yeah, add anything you want.
You know, yeah, I just wanted to speak on just, you know, just go over it. Me, I'm the type of person where I'm not kind of like most of his fan base, where I'm a big guy of hope. I like proven commodities. I like things that are tangible. I like things that I've seen, proven products. And I can understand the big drive over the past year and a half of people saying, well, just give it hope. Just give it hope, 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 hope. That's all we've heard for the past is hope. And for me, I've looked at, like you said, Culler, I've looked at the NFL throughout, you know, well, I'm younger than you, but the history that I've seen, and I've seen quarterbacks go through the same level of adversity and they still come out on top. You know, like you had guys like Andrew Luck. Andrew Luck was getting hit so hard he was peeing blood.
Right. Well, okay.
You had,
I got you. We got 2 minutes left. Quick thought, Pete.
Oh yeah, but let me
15 seconds. Go ahead. 15 more seconds, Jerry.
Fins up, guys.
Right on.
But basically what I'm saying is that it's time for Miami to actually make the leap and get something that's proven rather than continue to just do this hope game. Because
I absolutely agree.
Done it for far too long and it's never worked.
Yep. Come by the Fins tailgate later on and keep talking about that with us, if you will. Cap, you got 15 seconds,
I got you, brother.
man.
I'll see you there.
Thanks, man.
All right, man. Thanks a lot, guys. We got a fullback, baby.
Right on. Have a good night, Cap. How about you, Drub? 15 seconds.
Hey, appreciate it. Listen, TD, stop writing things on Twitter like you know stuff, okay? Love you, Culler. Thanks.
Get out of here, man. Yeah, get out of here, buddy. I want to thank everybody for coming tonight. This has been the second installment of Culler Commentary. Come join me on the Fins tailgate a little later on, and Chris Adams, El Capitan over there. And like and share this video, subscribe, and thank you very much, everybody. Have a good night.